I'm going.
I'm going. What are we doing, Bear? Introduce it.
Uh, you're already live, so you already introduced it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Fast Charging. I am Bear, and that is
Brian, as far as I know,
welcome back to the 71st
first.
71st episode of Fast Charging with the B and the B. And
Yeah.
we welcome all the people who have missed us being live, as we weren't here last week live. We were
Yeah.
dead. We were
No.
dead.
I
Brian
was
was.
I was Memorex.
Yes, Brian was Memorex. I kind of was too. But Brian was in Austin for the investor show. How was that?
It was so awesome. There were so many great people that came to our event. Let me make sure this is not a thing. That it was wonderful. And of the people who showed up to my event, you would not believe it, Bear. So many of them were people you and I met last year. There were, a lot of familiar faces. And a guy came up to me and he goes, hey, do you know who I am? I'm like, no. He goes, I'm in your intro jingle. You and me are doing a selfie. I'm like, how cool is that? He's like, I love it. My grandkids love it. I make them watch it.
Did JJ show up?
JJ did not show up.
Uh,
To my knowledge, he may have shown up and just not announced who he was.
oh, I think if he showed up, he would.
I think
He
I
announces
hoped
himself in our comments every day.
I hoped to see him. I brought the shirt that I had promised him, so I'll get that in the mail instead. It would have been interesting to meet him. There were, to my perception, there were no Nikola fans at the event.
Surprise,
But I could,
surprise.
well, I could be wrong. But
Well,
I'm,
the Nikola fan base is getting a little smaller right now, so
is it? What's going?
probably
What's?
he
Yeah,
has to deal with the stock price, which has to deal with other things going on. Maybe we'll talk
yeah.
about some of that later.
Who knows? Did you know that Infiniti, the Q50, may morph into an EV and may even be sold as the new Nissan Skyline?
Well, that's kind of interesting. I like the fact that they really stole the grill off the Mach-E. That was nice of them to do that.
They also stole the take a great name from your company and ruin it idea from Mustang's Mach-E,
Yeah.
because that is not a Skyline. But all right.
No, it certainly is not. I'm trying to think
Even
what.
for a render, it doesn't look good. Because it's not going to look like that. And that, if all you've got is dreams, that's not a very good dream.
Yeah, and when is this? We're looking at what, 2025?
Well, the whole philosophy with this brand of Nissan is that when it arrives, it is infinity. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we'll see how it actually turns out in the future because it's another probably non-existent car. So you see the steering wheel a little further
yeah,
down there?
I did.
Yeah.
What would you call that?
What shape?
Yeah,
A barrel lying on its side.
I can see that. Sure. Yeah, it's a pill.
Yeah, it's a ibuprofen 800.
I like how that center console is clearly poorly rendered.
Yeah, the tablet is crooked.
It's crooked.
It looks crooked. Maybe
It
it's
looks. Anyway, I think
yeah.
we've given this car more time than the designers did.
Well, maybe on episode 325 when it comes out, we'll go over it again.
Love it.
But
Do you know, yeah, go
but
ahead.
there are cars that we're going to be able to see before we get to episode 100, right?
I hope so. Maybe the Kia EV9 will slap of the road before the end of summer.
Yes, and again, another render, but we'll see. We'll see how this
I
actually
have
works.
confidence it will remind us of this car. Kia's styling is a bit more bold than what they actually produce is a bit more bold than the mainstream.
Well,
But I think
if they can keep the door handles off the car, that will be a massive improvement because the door handles don't lock without, or they announce themselves as being unlocked So I'm
Dumb.
willing to see them get away with the door handles.
Yeah. I'm going to just tell you now, it's probably going to have door handles.
I saw Ioniq 5 today,
Yeah.
and it was just sitting there, same color as mine, and the person's nowhere around. It's in a parking lot, and I could see just from where I was standing. You forgot to lock your car. So, I opened up the back door and I started going through it. They had a laptop in the back, which they had. I mean, it's past tense. And
Right.
then they had $4.33 in change in the cup holders. So they,
Nice.
they had, because now
Nice.
I'm
Right,
that
it's
much more
yours.
richer. Yeah, because
Yeah. Well,
Hyundai
I mean,
was nice enough to tell
yeah.
me to take it.
It's yeah. The old the legal precedent is finders v keepers, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called if you leave your door unlocked or wide open, that's your fault, not my
Yeah.
fault for taking it. But let's talk about something that we probably would never take,
Like what?
like the Toyota Buzz Forks 3.
The Buzz 3, the Busy 3, the
But
boy,
Buzz Tree. Buzz Tree?
I tell you guys, yeah, Buzz Tray. Give us some thoughts in the comments what we should call this. Very well named. I mean, boy, if this doesn't scream Bizza 3, I don't know, man.
That just rolls off the tongue.
With a BYD interior.
You know what? It's funny because they have a picture here that looks like it's a non-render. It's in the factory, but
And then
I
they
just can't tell what it looks like.
Right. So, boy, I mean, okay, cool, I guess, but it's
Not available in the United
not.
States.
No. And I asked Sandy who's going to be number 2 in 2030, and without hesitation, he said BYD. Part of it is, he said it's the vertical integration. They make their own batteries. They design their own chips. They're all the way end to end like Tesla is. And I had a comment yesterday, a person saying, I'm concerned that Tesla will be broken up as a monopoly because they're too vertically integrated. And I said, it's not vertical integration you need to worry about. It's horizontal, when you go too wide. When you buy out if they were buying Aptera and Arcimoto and Nikola, that's when it's anti-competitive. But going upstream to the mining, all the way to the mine,
That's not anti-competitive.
it is not. It is
Yeah.
not. It's unfortunate for your competition, but it is not in any way illegal.
Well, if you're the competition, you sell out to them.
Well, but they're not. They're not buying anybody.
Well, if they're going to be going straight to the mine, if they're buying mines, they're going to be owning that property at least the mineral rights, and they're going to be hiring people who would have been hired to do it if somebody else owned it. So, unless they have the robot doing the mining.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I've
Do you
got
know
some
that
dirt. I got dirt in my gears.
Do you know
My
that
actuators won't move. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Honda is moving into the future in a
And-
steampunk sort of way.
Yeah, in a way that they're moving so quickly, it's kind of like watching a glacier move.
Yes. Well, yeah. When I think glaciers, I also think cavemen, which is the kind of vehicles Toyota plans to be making gasoline cars for the next 20 years.
Honda,
I'm sorry, what did I say?
Toyota.
Well, I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of your mother, right?
Right.
But
Oh,
the
my mother.
what? I'm sorry. What? I missed.
Yeah, you're
missed
slipping
that
on the
part.
tongue a little bit. I want to say this is a fantastic looking car.
Yeah, it looks like a reject from the design pile at Subaru, and the Honda emblem is crooked. What are you doing? Why? What? Oh,
We're gonna have to start a new channel where we just tear apart renders.
my render daily.
My bad render. Which is funny because neither of us could make a render that even looked anything like us. Mine would look like a stick figure driving a Flintstone car, but you know, at least it's honest. Uh, yeah, this car is pretty unexciting, but maybe that's what they are gonna go plan to do is we're just gonna take our cars and make them into EV cars, and they won't be exciting and new designs or anything like that. We're gonna invest our money into the architecture of how the car runs instead of trying to make it look good.
I
Because
hope so.
this car looks like it's straight out of the, I don't know, 2000s or something, if that.
Yeah,
Uh,
if this was an '04, it might sell.
yeah, well, especially those headlights, that would be like state of the art headlights in 2004. But
So
you
by
know,
the yeah.
this is what $40,000 gets you.
Oh, is that? We
40
did get
billion.
some.
I'm sorry, $40 billion.
Yeah, I was gonna say that ain't. So got some suggestions in the chat for what we should call the Toyota BZ3.
What do you got?
John suggested Buzz Lightyear. I think that might be taken.
Yeah,
William
That's right.
suggested Tuna Can. And Honda Wired said, called it Goofy. Buzz Dre. BZ, the first two failed. Buzz Corolla, BZ Corolla. We got some great ideas. They're all as good as the car, which is a compliment you may take in any way you desire.
Any way that you like, whatever tickles your, you know what?
Wow. Do you know that Dodge Durango has been recalled because spoilers? Spoiler alert, it could detach while you're driving.
Yeah, you know what? I thought they would know this, but they should probably use some screws and some bolts and not use glue or tape. You know,
Well, they went to the Buzzfork School of Lug Tightening.
of assembly. Yeah. How do you have a spoiler that should be bolted on come off? I didn't. You know, if I hadn't been at a Dodge dealership, I wouldn't even know that they're still making these cars.
And I'll tell you, I've never seen a Durango that looked like that. Is that the current year, or is that a?
That's probably the SRT,
Oh.
which is their, their gooped
Super
up
fast.
model. Super fast. Yeah. Superstar. Right, but it's not, yeah. That's going to be the one that definitely had the spoiler on it. Not all of them are going to have the spoilers. So,
The only reason we
Yeah.
bring this up is because every single recall that Tesla gets makes headline news, and we thought it was only fitting that we should share it. Does this concern me? No. Is it likely to actually cause a failure? Not particularly. It's a very cheap, very easy fix. You bring it in, they tighten a couple bolts, and away you go.
yeah. But since we're talking about non-EV recalls, my Ford Bronco Sport trainee, it's a
Yeah.
Bronco trainee, is in the shop right now it's getting its recall done. It's been on recall since November. This is for a safety recall, which means I could not list it on Turo, which means I paid for the last 3.5 months of nothing. But yes, its recall is finally going to be over, probably tomorrow. We're going to have a little celebration for it. I've got a cake and a candle. So it's pretty good news for me. But I didn't see anything in the news, like any headline news about this. And this was for fire.
Right. That's a real, actual, critical safety recall. Very quiet. I wouldn't know about it if you hadn't told me.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you got a cake that says, "You did it, sport."
Trainee and then trainee like this. Because it's not a real Bronco.
Yeah. Do you know that Ford is going to be building 150,000 F-150 Lightning electric trucks
Year.
per year?
Oh, is it this year or a year?
They didn't specify which year
Oh.
because they sold 15,000 last
by,
year.
by the end of 2023. Okay.
So they'll hit that run rate by the... Okay.
That's a whole trick right there. The annual run rate will be ramped up to 150,000 units by the end of 2023, meaning they could be making 100 a week up until like December. They retool. they moved some things around, and now their run rate is 150,000. Just like Nikola's run rate is 2,500 in the existing factory, but they're not able to do that. Just like Lucid's current run rate, their production rate is 35,000 in the existing factory, but they can't do that. So I don't know.
So here's the good news. Sandy, I talked to Sandy personally, and he believes that the F-150 Lightning is profitable. Not the $39,000 version, but the higher trim versions are not losing money. How much money they're making, he wouldn't tell me. I assume less than their internal combustion counterparts. But the fact that they're not losing money means they can afford to actually build them, at least a bit.
Yeah, they there's if they're losing money on $100,000 truck that basically has nearly the same interior and exterior as the existing F-150, and they're really doing something wrong. I know.
Well, you've got to. Yeah.
I know there's some differences and all, but
You've got a $20,000 battery instead of a $1,000 engine. Mark it up 19 and you're done.
that's what they've done, though. That's
Yeah.
what the
Well, that if it works,
yeah.
yeah.
And I don't think that battery's costing them $20,000. That's what they're charging for the upgrade.
No. I think it is. I absolutely believe it is costing them $20,000. They do not have. They're buying it from SK Innovations, who, does not have the kind of scale necessary.
Which battery costs 20,000? The standard range or the extended range?
The more expensive one, but I do not have that on any authority, but I believe it to be true.
Yeah, well, you better check your authority.
Well, $200 at the pack level for a 100 kilowatt hour battery is not unreasonable.
I think that's unreasonable.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not paying it, but do you know that they're also going to up their Mach-E deliveries?
I think it's actually
Mach-E. They're Mach-E.
No, it's
I got a Ford Machete.
That'd be awesome if they just renamed it to the Mustang Machete.
The Mustang Machete. And by the way, why are we calling it a Mustang? It doesn't have two doors. It's not a sports car. It's
all right. You know what? You know I've got a Mach-E. All right, and in all my QuickBooks where I keep my notes for its expenses, and I left the word Mustang out intentionally. When I'm talking to Riley, we're like, oh, we got to get the Mach-E and get it cleaned up. I never say Mustang. And if it slips out of my mouth, I stop and I correct myself. I can't call it a Mustang. I can't. I can't even call my Bronco Sport a Bronco because it's so not a Bronco. It's a Sport, and it's not
a Bronco. I like it. I think it's cool, but it doesn't. I can't see OJ driving it slowly. Let's just put it that way.
No, I agree with you. Actually, I could see him driving it slowly because it is one of the slowest cars I have.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. It's. I think maybe the Kia Soul might be slower, but I don't think it is. But it is definitely one of the slowest cars I have.
When I used to review cars, I got all kinds of cars. I didn't get very many GM products. A lot of Chrysler family cars, Nissan, BMW, Mercedes, everything. The worst car I ever reviewed was a Jeep Compass.
Okay.
What a chunk of crap that was. They were like, oh yeah, we've got this new design. We're going to share this motor and this platform. It's going to go across a cajillion cars. But it was not ideal for anyone. And as a result, no one ended up using it. I'm going to turn myself down a little here.
Don't they still sell them?
Well, I mean, maybe. Who knows and who cares? It was a chunk of garbage. It was the most gutless piece of trash I ever drove. It was not fun. It was not good. And all the cars that were supposed to get this platform bailed on it because they got halfway into it and realized, oh, good, this is ideal for literally none of the vehicles.
Maybe we should put this on a lawnmower.
It was. And by the way, quick thanks to everyone in my chat. You guys are tearing it up today with the jokes. You are absolutely killing me. You can see me losing it a little here. I don't know what happened. Must have slipped something in their tea. Yeah.
I didn't know you were serving tea.
Oh, yeah, I always serve tea. I did serve... There's this guy who I don't care for who asked me, oh, how come, if you're selling tickets, why are you losing money on your event? And I said, because I'm not selling tickets. You can volunteer to give me a contribution if you'd like, but I'm not selling tickets. And he's like, well, what expenses? I'm like, I buy food for my guests, man. I buy drinks. I got the PA.
I flew out here.
Well, I flew out here, but that's my expense. If you're adding that, then I definitely would need another $11 to cover my airfare because I use miles.
Those are valuable to you.
I have
you
so
could have
many
used
miles
that
left.
You could have used that to go to Disney World or something.
Yeah. Couldn't go in, but that would be par for the course. John asked in the pre-show chat, hey, are you going to tell us about your tour of the factory? I don't know if that's a joke. I am now, Jeff will tell you, 0 for 9.
How was your tour of the factory?
I am 0 for 9 on getting into facilities of the Musk family. But at this point, it's more of a meme than anything else.
Maybe Musk will buy a private prison, and that way you have a chance of getting in.
I like that idea. That would be the only way to guarantee I would never go to prison. So much fun. Do you know the post office is going to be buying 9,000 electric vans from Ford?
Yeah, those vans would probably work really well for them. Not great because the steering wheel's on the wrong side, but they get somewhere in the neighborhood of like 120, 150 miles of range.
Yeah.
Charge them up every night, but definitely good for moving stuff around. Maybe not for delivery, but I think that would definitely work out. And they don't have to make a whole new platform and have some unknown company that's never made an electric vehicle design one and build one. Right?
Yeah, it's electric car. I made a video before I had this channel about why the USPS should go electric, and the gist of it was, for stop and go, you know how many motors those starter motors those guys burn through at the post office? Because all day, start and stop, it's real hard on the engine, and start and stop means you're burning brakes like crazy. This is all regen. It doesn't start. It doesn't stop. I mean, I hope it stops, but it's the right tool for the job. And 100 miles of range is plenty for the vast majority of urban and suburban routes.
Yeah, I think it will work.
Yeah.
But wait, actually, it won't work.
Uh-oh.
It's not gonna work at all.
Because?
It's being managed by the government.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so...
I mean, we put work in...
It could have worked.
Yeah.
All right. But
yeah. Steve points out that USPS is actually separate. It's one of those deals where it's a government but not government thing. Biden can't go in and just fire people, as we've seen with...
But the USPS loses billions of dollars a year and has to go to the federal government and say, we need some more money because of whatever they're doing wrong. And I'm not going to say what they're doing wrong because, hey, I'm not involved in that.
I can tell you. There was a law passed that said they have to prepay their pensions in a way that literally no one else does. If that was waived, they would no longer need all these bailouts. All these bailouts keep the pension solvent. It's the richest pension probably in world history, and it doesn't cost money. We're not losing money. It's not a business. It's a service. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. There, as far as I can tell, is Australia.
There is in the air.
Mm-hmm. Vertiport Network. Come up with a better name. That's terrible.
Vertiport?
Yeah. It's first Vertiport Network. for electric air taxi operations.
How about Vagiport?
That's
Not
I mean,
better. Not
it's
better.
it's not worse.
Okay.
I'm
How
yeah,
about how about air taxi port? I mean, that would kind of explain it a little bit more, right?
yeah, vertiport. Boy, that now that you mention it, that's probably a whole category on that website you keep telling me to go to.
Yeah. There you go.
So tell me about the vertiport.
Well, they're gonna, since they're not making any more cars, they're gonna start making the air taxis in uh, Australia, just down under. And I guess some guy who owns a bunch of those factories that have been shuttered is now gonna build the vertiport, and he's going to have them make these air taxis at the old manufacturing facilities that they used to make cars in, regular, real
Neat.
cars.
Neat.
Yeah.
By the way, if you go to the third to last paragraph, they've got an even better name for it. Skyports with a Z because we're hip, fellow
Oh,
kids.
yeah. I'm actually pretty hip like that. I'll tell you some other time. You asked me
Okay,
about the Z's.
the very last paragraph, we've got a third name, Vertia. Guys, do not let ChatGPT write your business plans.
Or 4-year-olds. No, that's too big of a word, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's. So this is so. Just before we move on, I just want to say, Buzzports. I'm telling you, man, my chat's on fire. Before we move on, I just want to say that this is definitely a super real thing that's super going to happen, and it's
Yeah.
definitely not a way to fleece ambitious investors
Where
with
do I send my check?
anywhere. Just write it and drop it out the window.
Did you see this other word? The UAM race is in full swing, and UAM is urban air mobility.
Wow, you
Are
guys
they
have got.
are they really trying to just make this as odd as possible?
This feels like a poorly written teenage science fiction novel.
Yeah, and it starts tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, any second. Do
Any
you know
second.
that VW raises brand targets for electric cars in Europe?
Yeah, they're not doing so well here, are they?
Nah. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, you did that, didn't you?
I did. I did. That's
Well,
unfortunate.
this was an
Paywall.
article saying how great that VW is going to sell cars in Europe, but probably forgot about here because most Americans find their cars a little bland and uninteresting, and they might buy them for reliability or because they think that they're really cool about the whole Dieselgate thing and how they snickered the government pretty good. But other than that, uh, yeah, increased sales in Europe, not here.
Yeah. Yeah. Real quick, MD Hofsty pointed out that, China, couple million cars, Texas, 4 million, Berlin, 4 million, Fremont, a million, Mexico, 8 million. That gets you to 20 million cars. I think that's,
I don't think
so,
that's
it's
there's a
ambitious.
that's a lot of build out to get like Texas to 4 million, and to get Giga Berlin to 4 million. What
I
did he say
agree.
for what did he say for China?
2, 1.5 to 2.
So, if there's anyone on that on the list of Tesla factories that's going to be the highest, it's going to be the China factory will be the
It,
highest.
it is.
Unless of course Giga Mexico, which I can't wait to talk about that. But
Oh, do we have
we are
anything
going
about
to.
that later?
Yeah, we do.
Do you know Rivian shares are in a bit of a tumble? They're looking to raise more cash.
Yeah. And every time we talk about Rivian, I always like to mention how I sold my shares at $171.
What are they at
Unfortunately,
now?
$14.64.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's
That's
okay because I put it all back into Nikola, so whatever.
Yeah, Rivian said it expects to produce 50,000 vehicles in 2023, fewer than the 60,000 that the Wall Street analysts had expected, may be a sign that demand for its high-priced pickups and SUVs is falling short.
Why does that nonsense even exist? Oh, Wall Street analysts said this, and they didn't do that. Well, you were wrong. They weren't wrong. You were wrong.
No, you were wrong. You were wrong.
Yeah.
I
Rivian
didn't.
wasn't. If
I
Rivian
didn't.
comes out and says we're going to do 50,000 cars, and Wall Street says, well, we expected 60, guess what? Wall Street analysts, you were wrong.
It kills me. It absolutely kills me. It makes no sense because, how does this quarter they beat analyst expectations. Okay, I mean, analysts were wrong, but...
Yeah, you know what? When you tell me that they met them, I'm like, all right, that was a good analyst. The rest of them were just wrong. One way or another, they were off.
Right. Maybe post a range, you guys. But, whatever. I think, considering the average returns of fund managers, I do not understand how these clowns make money.
Gordon Johnson, I get him. I understand where he makes money.
Yeah.
He's a short seller.
Yeah. And he did confirm that his dad was a GM executive, which I had assumed was not true, but I mean, my dad worked for Grumman, and I'm not giving them any love. Whatever. So did you know that everything is going great at Nikola?
Yes, everything is superb, as I report now on a weekly basis. Well, that's not true. Lion Electric is suing Nikola over canceling Romeo battery contract. So, here's the backstory, because I'm kind of familiar with it.
Please.
When Nikola bought Romeo, Romeo had contracts with other companies like Lion Electric and the other one, which is further down in the article. And because when Nikola got Romeo, they realized that Romeo said, "Oh, we forgot to mention something for you. These price of these battery packs it's not exactly accurate. It was about $105,000 per pack more, which that they were selling them at a discount. So, I mean, obviously that's a problem with Nikola because they didn't get that information until it was too late. The other problem was Romeo, and if they had it, they still may have gone through with it because Romeo was about to shut down. And
so real quick, a question for you is, you didn't say that the battery packs cost $105,000. You said the battery packs cost $105,000 too much.
More than what they were originally told.
Holy smokes, that is...
So Nikola went ahead and told Lion that they're not going to be getting their battery packs because they would lose on every single one of them.
Right.
And it's just not something that they could follow through on. I'm sorry, it was $110,000 each. It was over. Yeah. They were discounting the battery packs $110,000 to their largest customers. So because of that, they could not continue selling them what the packs that were promised in the contract. So Lightning E-Motors was the other company, and they were only able to deliver like a handful of vehicles last quarter 4, because of this, because Nikola did not follow through and sell them the battery packs. Now, the suit, it seeks more than $75,000 in damages. It's phrased like that.
Whoa!
But it's phrased seeks
Right.
more than 75. So 10 billion is more than 75,000.
Yeah.
So it could be, it's not less than 75,000 is all we know. And if it's if it is 75,000, Nikola probably should go, okay, they probably should have, even before there was a lawsuit, just wrote him a check. So it's obviously not $75,000.
And at the bottom, we do have a notice of the payments to the SEC being reworked.
Yes. Yes, they are dragging out their payment schedule as much as they can.
Yeah.
So Paul Lackey says 75,000 just the threshold for federal court, which is
appreciate that.
Yeah, and I knew it was something like that. There was some minimum that it had to be over. So
Yeah,
we just
John. Yeah, in my chat, John just asked, "Is 75,000 a magic number that puts it into a different court?" Yes,
yeah
apparently so. We got the best viewers, man. We do
yeah
not have the most viewers, but we have, I swear to you, the smartest and funniest people online in the chat all the time, and it makes
yeah.
my life better.
It just makes you happy.
It really does. It really does. I've seen chats on other channels and you're just like, oh god, these people are insufferable.
Yes, they are.
And no
So
JJ today. I'm sad.
yeah, no
Poor
JJ, and he was just waiting for us to talk about this. But Nikola didn't have much choice on this.
No.
It would have cost them millions of dollars to make these battery packs and send it over to them. I feel bad that this situation happened, but obviously there was somebody missed it with the purchase of Romeo. But like I said, they had to buy Romeo because Romeo was going out of business, probably
Oh,
because they were discounting the batteries $110,000, and
yeah.
they
So
probably
this,
could have found another
yeah.
source.
So I would call all of this kind of no news. It's unfortunate. Nikola, I feel, is under no obligation to bleed money because they already got shortchanged. And on the SEC fine, yeah, stretch it out. If you, it's a big amount of cash. Stretch it out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
JJ is here. He just isn't posting with his usual wrench emoji to mock the moderators.
All right. Tell him I still think he's a traitor for being over there.
I will not tell him. It's a secret between you and I.
No, no, no. You please pass that on.
No,
He'll
I'm
never.
not gonna
He'll
do
never
it.
know. He'll never know
He'll
if you don't tell
never
him.
find out if I don't tell him, so I won't say it. Tesla drops model S and X prices, now starting at 90,000.
Yay! That's. I think
Yeah.
that's where I put in my order for the Model S. I think I put it at 90 or 95. I don't remember, but now it's too bad because now I have a car that I paid too much for. Oh no! I'm so upset.
Well, Jeff just got his Model X long range 2 months ago, so he definitely is, I'm sure, fuming. It's so fun. It's such a pretty car, and it is nicer than the old one.
The X.
The X, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the X long range with FSD. I got to experience the yoke.
Yeah. The yoke is. I could deal with it a whole lot better if I was driving it on a everyday basis, but driving different vehicles all the time, the yoke gets
Yeah.
gets weird.
What is your thought on these price drops? Good news, bad news, no news?
I think it's great news. I think it's going to keep demand going. Uh, I'm happy with my Model S long range, which yeah, I think that's 5,000. I think they dropped to 10,000 when they dropped the other prices. So that they raised it 10 after I bought it. So yeah, I'm in the hole now for 5,000, but whatever. I mean, I knew that they were raising prices and they weren't always going to be raising prices. I knew that the car was $79,000 like 2 years earlier.
Didn't it get down to the long range? Didn't the long range get down to 69,420?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. But it would not have been the updated model.
No. Right. But this doesn't cost $30,000 more to build.
No, it doesn't. But it's still a very pleasant car to drive. It's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, and I've done 100 and I think 34 miles per hour in my S.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've never been over 117.
yeah. Well, I also haven't been that fast in any other car except maybe the Corvette. I was racing someone like 2 weeks ago in the Corvette, and when I looked down, 'cause I started decelerating, and I looked down, and then I realized I was doing 115. So I don't know how fast I was going.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but
I also like
the S,
to
I gotta
confess
tell
to
you,
crimes.
yeah,
Go
the
ahead.
S at 134, 130, it, except for all the cars going backwards, it felt like I was doing 70 or 80. It
Wow.
felt really good
Because it's
for,
planted, it's smooth, the suspension, it's
yeah,
built for it.
yeah, it really felt good. I mean, there was
Quick
some
question.
rattling going on.
in both the chats, what is your top speed? Jeff is posting he's done 148, but it was long ago. So let's get those posted. I'm going to put 117 as my top. Okay.
All right, yeah, let's hear it. Hear it on my
Yeah.
side. Top speeds,
And I am not counting air travel. Steve Sutton's
or space travel. You never know
Steve
who's
Sutton.
watching.
I have a pretty good idea. Steve Sutton's posting 140, Williams at 120 plus, JJ's at 69. Nice.
Wait.
Tech.
Let's get speed and car.
Oh, Tech Fixer 196. You got to tell us what that was.
Yeah, you see, now you definitely
Cyber
know
Dude
what that is.
122. David Huber 115 on a Honda 650. I did 110 on a Honda Interceptor 250. So that was hairy.
I did I think 120 on the back of a motorcycle once. That was scary as hell.
Who is this? Did 155 on his R6. Ugh. Only slowed down because of traffic. 122 in a Chevy Impala, in an 04 Impala. That doesn't sound like a good idea. 121 in an Acura NSX. 105 in an Olds 88. Don't do that. Don't do that. 121 on a Harley. 120 on an Interceptor. I don't think I got over 110 on mine.
I got a 117 in a 2012 Ford Fusion.
Ooh, that is not advisable.
Yeah, well, that is. I agree to that. I'm going to tell you about half my cars I've taken over 100.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
MD Hofsty did over 100 in a Chevy Cavalier. That is, oh my.
I think all we're doing is showing how stupid we all are. Because
yes, but these are not things. We're not saying this is how we commute. We're saying one time I did a stupid thing.
yeah. This one time at band camp.
Lisa is asking, Jeff, was that 148 in your Geo Metro? Because he used to have a Geo Metro. That's funny, Lisa. You got me. 120 in a Dodge Dart. Yeah. Tech Fixer saying it was a 1974 highly modified Mustang. Spent 10 grand on just the motor in 1989.
I've got nobody on my channel giving me numbers here. I think they all went to your channel.
Yeah.
They're all asleep or something. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Let's see something in the chat. Car and speed.
So do you know that human drivers avoid crashes 99.99819% of the time?
With the exception of this group.
Yeah. Self-driving cars need to be even safer. This is the March of Nines.
So,
and I don't know where do you come up with these numbers? Are we going per second, per minute?
They went per crashes by mile, which is really kind of weird because Tesla releases their numbers of autopilot per mile or autopilot crashes per mile, and they're all better than what they are saying is the industry average. Yeah. So it's kind of a weird number that they picked up because they're not saying that the human drivers avoid crashes 99.999% of the time. No, that we're not avoiding crashes; we're driving.
And per mile, that I will assure you, you can crash more than once in a mile. I've seen it happen.
Well, I've been in a car that bounced off the median and then both median sides like 4 times before it came to a stop. Is that 4 crashes?
Dan O'Dud crashes a Tesla every mile. So that's pretty good. I'm going to run over to my fridge and see if I've got any beverages because I am thirsty.
All right. I'm going to go over a couple of numbers finally popping up. We got 140 in a 72 Challenger. That is a little scary just because the older cars. They kind of shake a little bit. They don't have quite the steering that they have these days. A 2017 Charger 124. And Deeps did 145 in a 73 Trans Am, 600 horsepower.
Wow. How fast in the Trans Am?
145.
Ooh, Smokey's on your tail.
Yep, they're not catching them. 144 in a 2005 Mustang. And a 2015 FRS 142 and extremely confident in that.
Wow. Tech
Yeah.
Fixer says, I was dumb enough to do 146 in a 79 Granada coupe.
How could that car go that fast?
Well, it sounds like he knows how to build motors, so.
Yeah, yeah. You could change things around.
Yeah. Steve Sutton says, Zach and Jesse talked about this today. If you're about to crash, you take it out of FSD. FSD, no. FSD still counts if it's 5 or 10 seconds
I
after.
think it's 10 seconds. If FSD was disengaged within 10 seconds, it still counts as a crash
still
in
counts.
FSD.
And by the way, but 10 seconds, that's no time at all.
That's a lot of time.
It's a football field and a half. If you can't get your stuff in order in in that kind of distance, my friend. So I would, And to me, FSD today, it is not FSD. It is just an amazing driver assist package.
Yes, and that is true. And it's amazing on some cars, and it's a big shit burger on others.
Yeah. So you know how sometimes you're driving and you're too tired and you shouldn't be driving.
Yeah.
I would have some comfort that I'm in a car with that kind of autonomy, but I would still assume that if my eyes close, I will die.
Yeah. Well, I've got personal experience on that. My Model Y did not kill me, and I probably drove 50 miles on I-10 at 4 o'clock in the morning one time doing this, driving back from Austin, Texas. And I'm waking up and I'm like literally like right behind a semi, but at the appropriate distance, and just trailing them. And I was probably saving range also because, I was drafting him. But I know for a fact that if I did that in the Hyundai, I would be dead. Absolute 100% dead. The Hyundai is the worst out of the cars that I've driven. And the Mustang's pretty good because it will yell at you if you close your eyes. I've even tried it. I've closed one eye, I close the other eye, then I go like this, and then it starts yelling at me. It's pretty good at making sure that you're still going. The Hyundai does not have the ability to slow down on turns.
John pointed out, if you know you're going to crash 10 seconds before it happens, you have plenty of time to avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a myth that people believe that all these cars will see an impending, unavoidable accident, kick you out, and not count it. Which is, if it could see the accident coming, it would slam on the brakes, people.
All right, Deeps has had to just top everybody. Not with speed. Not with speed, but with what he was on. 120 on a snowmobile.
Oh, no. That is not good. That is... So, Honda Wired posted 92 in a 1978 Mercury Bobcat. Terrifying.
Yeah. I don't think Deeps is actually alive. I think he died on the snowmobile, and this is the ghost of Deeps.
Yeah. Well, and actually, we are part of his simulation now that he is just a head in a jar. But don't tell him, or he'll unsubscribe.
Yeah. Hey, we need to move on and talk about Giga Mexico.
What? I've never heard of it. What's that? Oh, do we? What about... Okay, sure.
Okay. It's going to be huge. Okay. This is 4,200 acres. You know what that translates into, like, square miles?
No.
Around 7. A little bit less than 7. Do you know how big the island of Manhattan is?
5?
It's 22 point something square miles.
Wow.
So this facility is literally going to be like a third of the size of Manhattan.
Wow.
In land mass, okay, not in height. Okay, so I don't need corrected. But
and by the way, huge. JJ has been sitting on this joke for over a year. It's Gigante Mexico. Called it. Yeah. And JJ, you're right on that. So 4,200 acres. They say, it's twice this. It's twice the original land purchase of Giga Texas. Giga Texas is now over 2,500 acres, so it's not quite twice that, but it's very big. And what I loved is in this picture, I was like, well, this is a I mean, it's obviously a render, but I'm sure even the hills and stuff.
You sure that you sure they didn't build it last week?
Well, but I mean, like even the hills, it's not going to be backed up to a mountain like that. Turns out, someone went out and found it. No, that's what the land actually looks like.
Okay. Well,
So
I'm going to tell you, I'm a little concerned about the construction speed because I've been down to Mexico and I watched Mexicans build stuff, and they might need they work like they're in a union. So I don't know.
So I had a chance to speak to. I had a 3-hour consult with with basically a diplomat from Monterrey. She was sitting on the flight next to me, and had no choice, so we talked. She was actually a former, not an ambassador, but some kind of diplomatic job, but she's from Monterrey. She says Monterrey is not like Mexico. Monterrey, she says, most of Mexico gets up at 9 a.m. In Monterrey, we get up at 6. And that it is the business hub of the country, and that things move quickly there. And then she made some comments that I'm not sure if they were anti-Semitic or not, or pro-Semitic. I couldn't tell, but I'm not going to repeat them because they were so weird. But she believes that they will absolutely crush it. That they'll move quickly. That everything will work great. And Jeff saying, "Poor woman." Wow. And who's this is saying that the Denver International Airport's bigger than Manhattan? But where there's a will, there's a way, and I believe that the will is there. I don't think they're going to build it in quicker than 9 months, like in Shanghai. I think that was hyperbole.
Yeah, no, you know what? I think I'm not trying to be mean here, but China and bribery, there's a bribery budget, Mexico, it's more than just like
it's its
extra
own
cash.
line item.
Yeah,
You can't just
really
lump
is.
it in with something else.
And it's completely legal, or is it? But I've spent a lot of time in Mexico, and things can happen fast, things can happen slow. It all just depends on how much cash you carry. It could, and you just pay off whoever you need to pay off. And I'm not trying to insult the people of Monterey. I don't know them. I've never been there, and maybe they are a little bit more legit than places like Sonoita, Mexico.
Sure.
Small little Sonoita. Okay.
Well, I wouldn't want to build somewhere where I have to consider the bribery budget, like New York. So it would be, or Vegas. So it's.
No, but you got to understand this bribery
I
budget
know.
actually gets things done quicker.
Oh,
So you're actually speeding up your process because, like with Germany, with Giga Berlin, and they had all these permitting, and then there was more permitting, and then and they just kept coming up with more stuff. In Mexico, if they came up with that, you give them more money. You just get right past that, and it works to the advantage. Hopefully, they don't take shortcuts because I'd hate to see something bad happen due to faulty construction. But it can definitely speed up the process. Same thing in China. How do you think that happens so fast?
Well, not through bribery, but through political will, because it is a tax money printing machine. Those were the bribes. They were legit bribes. The government says, keep it moving. We want our taxes.
Yeah. I'm telling you that I don't have any proof, but money exchange hands. That's how you speed up these processes.
JJ said, I would pay for an hour podcast of Bear clowning on other countries.
I'd get labeled. I would still get labeled. And I don't mean it's disrespectful. It's just places have different cultures, and they do things differently. And I'm not saying the way we do it here is the best, because it's not. Because how long can it take? It could take 20 years to build a project here in the United States because of stuff. You're going to spend 5 years doing environmental surveys, trying to figure out if it's okay or if you're going to kill an ant.
Yeah. Yep. And you remember, it was in the even up until the 60s and 70s, if you needed a road built, you built the road. If the road cut across a lake, it cut across a lake.
Yeah, that's probably not a great place for a road.
No, but in the town I grew up in, just one town over in Linwood, Washington, the road 176 or 76, whichever, would cut through a swamp, and they just built right on top of the swamp. And every few years they'd have to add more and more and more asphalt because the gosh darn thing just kept sinking into the gosh darn swamp.
Yeah, the I-10 goes through the swamps in Louisiana, but it's all elevated. So you'll go like, I don't know how far it is, 20, 30, 40, 50 miles, and it's all raised above the swamp. And if you slow down enough and you look over the side, you will see some critters in there that will eat you.
On the tour of Kennedy Space Center, there's just alligators. It's just part of the tour.
I saw the same thing when I did my tour last year, whenever it was. The bus driver will be like, if you look over on your right, you'll see alligators baking in the sun, and everyone looks over, ooh, alligators, and sure enough, they were a bunch of just, stop, everyone take a picture, and then he'd keep moving. It was just part of the tour, and I know they didn't just like put them there for us. They were all over the place.
No, yeah, and William says alligators are people too, guys. I don't think that's true.
I heard they identify as people, so you got to just go with it.
Yeah, well, Scott Adams identifies as a comedian, and that's not working out great. Did you know that Tesla's already opening up their Supercharger network?
Yeah. So you gotta have an app, which I don't know when this actually starts, and I would be interested to know that.
Well, it has started in the Northeast. I've seen pictures of people charging motorcycles and other cars.
What kind of motorcycles are electric?
A Zero? I don't remember what it's called.
Are you talking about the Livewire?
I don't know. There's 2 or 3 brands, and I don't think it was a Zero. I think it was a... I don't know. Somebody can look it up and tell us in the chat.
Livewire is the company that Harley Davidson made. But, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. So it's interesting. This is happening, and it's going already. So that's good.
Well, yeah, and so you got to have the app. You will pay more per kilowatt hour if you're not a Tesla dude, and you can sign up for like a monthly subscription where it will bring your price down to the same level, and it's like $12 or $14 a month. There was something in here about that. So
yeah, down at the bottom on update.
Up at the top, up in the middle, around the side through the middle, $12.99 per month.
I guess that is the middle.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. So if you want to talk about where it is in the article for the next 5 minutes, I'm game.
All right. Yeah, so it's cool because if you go up a paragraph.
Yeah. All right. I feel like I'm having a conversation with my wife. Anyway, $12.99 per month. Get the lowest price kilowatt, which, depending on where you're at, is going to be whatever it is. Still not as much as EA, which are raising their prices.
Wow. Oh no! So I think this isn't necessarily a profit center for Tesla as much as it is pure marketing. This is going to get people into the Tesla ecosystem. This is going to show them how reliable the chargers are. This is going to show them, it's how different it is than having to deal with EA. When we, I don't have to tell you have a Tesla and you just pull up to a supercharger, you plug it in, you charge, and you leave. You don't even think about it. It just works.
It's actually better than that, because you plug in, you go back into your car, you turn on Netflix or whatever you want to watch, and you sit there and you actually watch something on Netflix, and you just chill out. And before you know it, your car's beeping at you saying, "Get off the charger! You're idling," because you've gotten yourself entertained by something else, like you're doing right now, and as opposed to sitting there charging a Polestar the other day, 45 minutes, just sitting there, and I'm playing Candy Crush on my phone, and I'm like, I'm bored of Candy Crush, and I don't really have a lot of games on my phone. Um, so there's like nothing to really do. So, but there's just no alternative inform entertainment. But 45 minutes charging the Polestar is probably about 20, 25 minutes charging the Model S or the Y because they charge faster. The Polestar is capped off at 120. Very, very, very shitty. Uh, these chargers, 250. There'll probably be some 350s. Awesome, great. You're going to charge faster if you're in a Tesla. So yeah, it is. They're gonna. There's gonna be people are gonna pull in their Hyundai or no, let's not. Let's say the Polestar, and they're gonna see a Tesla pulling next to them, and then the Tesla's gonna pull out before they're halfway done. We're like, why did that just happen? Because the Tesla's gonna be charging faster.
The Steve Sutton points out Tesla made over 800,000 from their charging stations last year. That is pennies. That is the cost of a couple. That is the cost of what 10, 15 stalls. You can't if that's the profit. And Steve Sutton, by the way, says he lives only a couple hours from me. So Steve, if you know Josh, Emily, or Dave, then cool. But anyway, go ahead.
I just threw out some random names.
No, those are other Suttons I've known in.
Oh, okay.
In
All right.
in an area where Steve might live.
Yeah. Well, you made me lose my train of thought on what the hell I was gonna say.
$800,000
Oh,
charges.
$800,000. If that's their net after installing all the chargers that they put in, think about that because eventually, if that's with their capital expenditures, eventually that capital expenditure is going to go down because they've got chargers everywhere and they don't have to be putting in these new and improved charging stations. So it could turn into, I mean, yeah, $800,000. Shit, I throw that away every month.
Mark Hickman says contrast 800,000 profit to the cost of a Super Bowl ad. Yeah, you're going to get 10 seconds, 5, probably 5 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's not a lot of money, but if that's after their capital expenditures, I think that's great. They work.
They work. That's the beauty.
That is the big thing about this. Now, if they could just get other car manufacturers to switch over to the Tesla
plug,
the NACS XY.
I think it's brilliant that they decided to choose to call it the North American Charging Standard when it is not. But
Beta.
Yeah. So I think that's a good place to cap it.
Yeah.
I want to thank my patrons who keep me in business, who make it possible for me to do these trips and go to these places and learn these things. And hang out with people like Bear.
Yeah, and now I'm supposed to say something nice about Brian. Brian,
oh no,
you look acceptably good today.
I'm so burnt. I'm so burnt.
Oh,
do you see that?
Stop. No, I don't want to see.
Oh, right. Save it for the OnlyFans. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. Get your feet up for OnlyFans. All right, I want to thank Brian's Patreons for keeping him happy. Just keep him happier, and we'll all be good. I want to thank my patrons also for being there for me through these rough times with Nikola and Tesla, and hopefully they can find a way to get out of that hole that they're both in. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll be back next week with we're going to be making fun of Hungary, Chile.
Oh gosh, that's yeah. John says Brian giving his OnlyFans a teaser, and I should point out, if for my American fans, I hope you have a foot fetish, and for my European fans, I really hope you have a centimeter fetish.
Oh my! Meow.
Oh, we have fun. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks, Bear, and we'll see you next week.
We need to call this before we get arrested. All right. Bye, everyone.